Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Jo and I am super excited because today I am going to give you the first episode of how to make a folio. This is going to be beginner to moderate difficulty level. For the most part, it's very simple. There's just measuring and just some different things. You'll see as we go. But anyway, just kind of show you the things that I use. I have my ruler and some scissors, my dauber, and some vintage photo is what I decided to use with this, and my pokey thingy. This is the paper kit that I'm going to use. I've actually made another journal with this paper kit. Love it, sold it, beautiful journal. And so I was super excited when I found it again at Hobby Lobby. And so yeah, that's what I want to use today and throughout this video series. What I typically look for, you don't have to have this paper pack. You don't have to have this at all. This is just what I'm going to use for this tutorial. Well, the best way to do it, in my opinion, is to have a cardstock paper. You can do it with regular paper, but it just doesn't hold up. It's kind of flimsy. You want a heavy paper or a cardstock like this. And this, I don't believe is open yet. I will fix that. Super beautiful images, and it's so pretty. I love the blues and the oranges and the sagey greens. It's just going to be really pretty. So we're going to use that. And then I have a couple sheets of 12 by 12 cardstock that I'm going to use to make the base of the folio. I have used, you know how in the back of the Tim Holtz 12 by 12 paper, they have like the 6 by 6s and the little journal card size and all that. I don't really use those. They end up just getting put in a pile of, I'm not going to use that probably. Now, I did start learning how to use the 6 by 6s, but the rest of them, like with the belly bands or the strips and stuff, I'm just not going to use them. So sometimes I've used those as bases. Basically, you just need 2 sheets of a cardstock type paper that you don't mind showing through, because you will be able to see this in your gussets. And I prefer the craft cardstock because it's very neutral. I don't mind it being seen. I can ink it up, give it whatever kind of grungy look, dark, light, you know, it's very versatile. So those, and then of course my scoreboard. So first and foremost, what I do first after I've decided what paper and stuff I'm going to use. Oh, I forgot to tell you, my glue. I use mostly Fabri-Tac, and then I also use a little bit of art glitter glue, but I'm not perfect, guys. I make mistakes constantly, and art glitter glue has absolutely no forgiveness. Like, when you put it down, it's stuck, and there's no making any type of adjustment to it. I mean, you've got like wiggle room in the first 2 seconds, and then after that, it's locked. So I'm very careful with when I use this, because there's no forgiveness. Now on the Fabri-Tac, I can, it has a great seal when it finally dries, but I can rip it off, I can change it, I can maneuver it, and it works better for me since I am such just a klutz, and I glue things upside down, and yeah, you name it, I've probably done it. So, okay, so then the first thing that I do once I figure out what paper pad that I want to use is I get my base, and then I decide how big I'm going to want it. what kind of measurements. So I think what we're gonna do just a normal, to me, normal size journal, which is 9x6. Now, this is gonna be 9x6, but the cover that we make in a later video, I always do my covers after the folio. The folio is the first thing I make when I put together a junk journal folio. It's the folio, the junk journal, and then the cover for all of it. But it will measure larger than the 9x6 in order to encompass everything. So I'm going to take one sheet and I am going to take it down to 9 inches, which you can just see right here on the, wait a minute, yeah, right on the end down here, I'm at 9 inches, and I'm going to just cut that off, but I'm going to keep this because I'm going to need this to make a gusset here in a minute. And then I'm going to take the other sheet and do the same thing with it. I'm going to go to 9 inches and I'm going to cut that off. Now, I'm not going to need this second piece. I save all of these scraps because they're great bases for tags and such, but I'm not going to need it for this project, so I'm going to put it down here in my little scrap bin. Okay, so well, now that I have that, now it's time to figure out how it's going to fold. I'm going to go with a very basic Z fold for this folio that we're going to make together. You can do absolutely anything you want to do because you're going to cover all of this with different flips and flaps and tucks and turns. So, you know, sometimes I like doing it like this, and then attaching more cardstock in different ways. It's so hard to explain, but I mean, really, it's just use your imagination. The Z, I feel, is the most, it's just the easiest way. You've got 2 flips going this way, and then you have 1 flip going this way. And it gives you the folio feel without being too, where does this go and where does that go? So now we have to decide where we want our gussets. So I know that I said that this was going to be 6 inches wide. However, I need probably about an inch wide gusset on that 6 inch mark to make it 6 inches wide with the gusset. So usually it's about 5.5 to 6.5 where I score my lines for the gusset. So I am just going to measure that out, and I'm starting at 11 instead of 12 just because I have this break in my scoreboard and I need to be on this side of it. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we're gonna go 5.5. And I am literally just going to do all of these little lines. Oh, I can't see what I'm doing. Where's my light? I'm gonna put that down a little more. Oh, wait, did I move you? Well, hopefully, I'm gonna put that up just a little bit. Okay. And I'm sorry about my workspace. It's kind of small. I've spread out as far as I can, but I like to have stuff close to me that I use often, so it's pretty cluttered. But anyway, you just want to go through and do every line until you get to the other half line, which is right here. So I'll go ahead and do it and go the opposite direction so I don't overdo it. Except for this craft cardstock is heavy, so sometimes my pokey tool, I can't remember what this is called, a stylist, maybe? I don't know. I use it for a bone folder, I use it for this, I use it a lot. It's covered in glue and fun. Okay, so what you should have, if I put this down for perfect measurements at 12 inches, you should have a gusset that goes from 5.5 to 6.5. And I don't know if you can, yeah, you can see that. You can see all those lines there, and that is what's going to give it the turn. So then I just take it and I fold on the farthest line, and then on the farthest line on the other side, just to give it, there we go. And then I kind of squish this and pinch a little bit, you know, where it's real stiff, just to kind of give it a more malleable feel. And then when you measure it and it's flat, it measures at almost 6 inches. So that is exactly what I want, because when this goes in the folio, it's gonna need, it needs that extra room. So I'm gonna set this piece to the side, and I'm gonna do the exact same thing with this piece. I'm gonna start it at 11 and go from this mark to this mark. And I do the 1-inch gussets because I like to put a lot of fun stuff in my folios with the flips and tucks and all that good stuff. Can't see what I'm doing. I thought I missed one. This is interesting enough. Sometimes I have trouble because I end up moving it, and then I have cattywampus lines. I get very frustrated, and then I have to start over again. So watch where your little tool is at, because it's a lot of fun. So you can see you've got that gusset in the same spot, and then I'm just going to do the same thing where I fold it and press down on this side, and then the same on the other side. Fold it, and then I have that gusset in the middle like a spine, and I just kind of give it a little bendy. All right, now this craft cardstock, I don't know if you'll notice or not, but it is 2 different shades of brown on one side and the other. I don't know why. I think it was maybe a glitch, but it doesn't matter because, like I said, we're going to cover most of that up, and you're just going to see it in the gussets. So now I need the connecting piece. So I'm going to take that piece that we cut off of that first folio panel side, and I'm going to cut it down to 9 inches, because 9 inches is how tall this journal is, or how tall the folio is here. And I need this piece to be even with the folio. So I'm going to cut this down to 9 inches. And then I have to put a gusset in this. And this can be interesting because it likes to move. It's hard to keep it still because I can't really use this to hold it in place. Now I like to do an inch gusset on here too, and I just try to get it somewhere in this center. It doesn't have to be like particularly at any inch spot, just as long as it's somewhere in the center. And man, this is some heavy duty craft cardstock. Woof. There we go. Almost got them. I like the heavier duty stuff for the base though, because I did get all those lines, so you can see that there. And we're just going to fold that the same way we did the other ones. So the bar line on that side, bar line on this side, and then give it a little squish. But I prefer the heavier cardstock. It puts together a more a journal that'll last longer, I think. It's just nicer. The feel of it feels sturdy and like it's not going to fall apart. Okay, so once I've got that smushed a little, okay, we're good. All right, so now I'm going to set my scoreboard to the side. Now I have to glue this to these, put them together. So I'm going to take my Fabri-Tac And I have to be careful because I have a lip here, but I'm not going to go all the way to the very, very end. I'm going to leave maybe, maybe 1/4 of an inch on each side. But this is completely up to you on how you want to do it. You can stretch out your folio page. The only thing about that is you have to be careful because it's just the inside that's going to be longer and not the top and the bottom. So I think, no, you know what? I think I'm going to do these, well, I think I'm going to go right to the edge with these actually. I'm not going to leave any space. Okay. So the easiest way to do this is to take both of your, I'm folding this the other way because I'm OCD and the color just messes with me. So I'm just squishing it the other way. Okay. So you fold them out like this, and then both of these fold in towards you. That's where you want them, to where they both fold in towards you. And then this one, you want to fold the opposite direction. So this is going to come this way. This is going down. So these go up like that. They're going up. And these are going down. And that's what you want right here. If you mess it up, you can just bend it the other way. But just as a how I do it, that's what I do. So then I just come in here and I glue, put some Fabri-Tac down on one side. And then I'm going to line that up at the bottom and smooth that down, and then make sure at the top that I am not going over the gussets, which I am just a pinch, so I'm just going to pull it back a little bit. All right, so you can see I'm lined up with the gusset, and on this side, so I can just fold it straight down on that line that we originally folded, and nothing's in the way because of where it's glued on here. So once that's done, you kind of see what's happening here. Now I'm going to glue the other side. So I'm going to put glue on the back side of that little flap, and I'm going to press it down on this side using care to not go over your gusset line. And I will flip it and see I'm way off. This is why Mommy uses Fabri-Tac, I'm just saying. Okay, and on the edges, I'm checking the edges to make sure that I'm not over the gussets and that they line up. Okay, all right, and so the end result is a folio base. It will open like this, and like this, and like this. So it's just a Z fold, or an accordion fold, or I don't know. Okay, so what I would like to do is I would like to do one panel with you guys today to start. I never do the top panel first because I don't know what kind of closure I'm going to want to do. If I'm doing a closure, I don't know what I want the focal point to be. It's usually the thing that I think about the longest. So we will not do the top. We're going to do another one. But these sections here that are in between the gussets, here and here, here and here, and then of course here and here, are they're panels. And we are going to turn these panels into something awesome. So I'm going to take my scoreboard out because I always craft with it underneath me. I don't know why. And I'm going to pull out this paper pad and decide what paper I want to use on this first panel. What I normally do is I pull out one of every design and then put the book up. But I forgot to do that, and I don't want to do that on video. So I think I'm going to go with, this one. Set that over there. And I want to use maybe this one. And then I want one with some blues in it. Maybe one of the floral ones. Oh, that's pretty. Let's just use it. Okay, so I have pulled out 3 sheets to start. I might need more. I don't know. It just depends. Like, I mean, I will be honest with you. I literally have no idea where this folio is going. We are winging it. I haven't like planned out the panels or anything like that. I'm just kind of doing what I normally do when I make a folio, which is just wing it. So let's see here. I need to decide which one I want to be my background, because the other ones are going to be my flips and my pockets, my side tucks, all that fun stuff. And I think I'm going to use this gray one as the base. So what I do is typically I do this first panel. I skip the front, I flip it over, and I work on these 2. And this is the first one that I usually do. So this is the one we're going to do. So I'm going to take my sheet, make sure that it is the orientation I want it to go, and I measure it like this. I put it just over 1 to 2 lines of that gusset. Oh, where's my pencil? Okay. And then I go to mark it at just 1 to 2 lines over the gusset on the other side, or to the end of the paper, whichever is there. And I just give it a little mark, and then I mark it again by making it even with the top. And then I mark just a little mark on the bottom. And I'm going to put that up because I don't need it again until it's time to glue. So now I'm going to cut at my marks. And I always save my scraps. And when I'm doing this, I make kind of like a scrap pile that is designated just for this journal that I'm making, because you come back to them for a lot of different stuff. So I'm going to set that over there. And then I'm going to cut at that mark. And then I have my first panel. So first and foremost, I'm going to ink it up with some vintage photo, which is usually my go-to, just because it's nice and grungy. Now you can use whatever color you want. If you want to go with blues or oranges, because blues and oranges are in the paper that you're using, or red, black. I mean, it's your folio. It's whatever you want it to be. It's whatever your vision sees. This is just mine. So I have my first, and now I have to decide my flips and tucks and all that fun stuff. So I think what I want to do with this one is I just want to be simple with this first one. So I'm not going to do any acetate or anything like that. I'm just going to do some simple flips. And I'm going to use both of those, and we're going to do a pocket flip that flips over this way and a pocket flip that flips over this way, and then we'll do a gusseted pocket down here. So it'll open like that, and there'll be a pocket right there. So I'm going to take that first sheet of paper, and I think this is where your ruler comes in and things get technical. Okay, so it is 9 inches exactly, which is what it should be. So 4.5, but I want a little wiggle room. So I think I'm gonna do 4 inches. So we will, because I don't like going all the way to the top with them. And I got a 1/2 inch of wiggle room. So I'm going to cut, all right, this is a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. So I'm actually gonna cut this at 8 so that I have my 4-inch piece right here. Math. I hate math. Okay, and now I'm gonna take this and and I'm going to fold it. Now, it does matter if you fold it like this or if you fold it like this. It does matter which side that the gusset is going to be on, because that's the side it's going to flip. So since this is my first one, I'm just going to do this one, and then I just have to remember to do the other one the opposite direction. So I'm just going to put it about where I want it, which this is approximately an inch that I have given it. I just want to make sure that I'm even, and then I'm going to burnish that down. There we go. Now, I will sew all of this, but I'm going to sew it all off camera, and then on the next video, I will glue it all down to kind of show you how it turns out. But I am not going to sit here and make you guys listen to my sewing machine, because I can't splice videos together until I get my laptop running again. So this one, now what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and make our gusset. So you just want to line this up where one of these little crevices is right on the edge of your image or the paper end right here. And then I usually do 5 or 6. I like large gussets. It gives you a lot of room to put stuff in your folios. So I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. You can do however many you want to. The more you do, the more it's going to stick out from the panel. The less you do, the closer it's going to be to it. It's completely up to you, but I know I'm going to do a gusseted pocket here, so I know I'm going to want some space. So then I am just going to kind of fold this a little bit. I'm going to open it up. Now, sometimes I use washi tape right here to cover the gusset, but I'm just going to use some vintage photo and just kind of give it a little brush here. And that way, that gusset has some color. So I'm going to fold it back the other way and kind of squish those lines a little bit. And so you can see, here's our panel, and here is our first pocket flip. And it's going to be right up here at the top. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 2-inch circle punch, and I'm going to kind of eyeball the center. And I'm not going to go down very far because I just want a little notch. You can turn it around and look at the back. A lot of people do that where they just watch through the window. I can't punch it that way. I don't know why, but it gets difficult for me. So I'm just going to eyeball it. And then that's what I want. Just a little notch. So then I'm going to take it and I'm going to ink it up. And I'm going to ink up both sides. And I'm going to kind of get all of that gusset there. I'm just going to kind of rub it over all of those edges. And then we will get the other side. I think my puppy just went into the bathroom. I don't know why or what in the world she could possibly want in there. Or maybe I'm wrong. Nope, I think she's in there. We'll find out shortly. And then you get this edge here. Okay, so the next thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to decide if I want pockets, belly bands, side tucks, what I want to do. Do I want it just plain or do I want to put something on there? I'm going to think about it because I don't know. I think I'm probably going to put something on both of those, but I've got an idea, but I'm going to wait and see. We're going to make the other one now. So I'm going to take this paper and I'm going to take it down to 8 inches so I have that 4-inch piece. And I'm going to set this to the side. How are we doing on time, friends? Okay, I'm just at 30 minutes. That's good. All right. So this one, I want to fold the opposite direction. Sorry, I was watching my puppy who is trying to be inconspicuous coming out of the bathroom, but there's nothing in her mouth, so I think we're okay. All right, so this one is on this side and folds out like this. So I need one on this side that folds out this way. So I need my gusset on this side. And I'm just gonna fold that over, leaving about an inch on the end here. That's a little more than an inch. Fold that down a little bit, just so I am even with the other one. Okay, you can burnish it, or you can use your nails, or whatever you want to do. The world is your oyster. So I'm going to flip this around. And yeah, if you use non-directional paper, it is so easy if you put the gusset on the wrong side, because you can just flip it over. It doesn't really matter until you put the notch in. That's when you can't flip anymore. But then you could just cut it off and do it. But I mean, there's a lot of things you can do. Trust me, I've made enough mistakes. I know a lot of ways to fix them. So then again, I'm just going to line that up, and I'm going to do 6, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And then I'm going to ink this up a little bit, just to give it something. And then I'm going to make sure that I've got it the way I want it, which I want it to go this way. So this is right side up, and I'm going to put in my notch. And once again, I'm just going to kind of eyeball the center, and don't go down very far. Here we go. It's a little more shallow than the other one, but that's okay. We're not going to worry about it. It's not that big of a deal. It's just paper. And then I'm going to ink it up. And ink up the gussets, which I forgot to fold and smush. And then ink the other side. Okay, now I will be sewing these, like I said, so I'm not going to glue them down. But you can see now how we've got 2 little flippy pockets. One goes out this way, and the other one goes out this way. So I'm still thinking about what I want to put on these. I'm going to set these to the side. I need to make a gusseted pocket for this. And I want it probably about halfway. I want it decently deep. So I'm going to look at the papers. You know what? I want a different sheet. I don't want to use the same one. So I'm going to look through and find, I think, yeah, I found a light blue one. I'm going to use this sheet. And this one is directional. So I've got to be careful with it. But for making a pocket, piece of cake. So my measuring again is I just look here. Now I want it gusseted, so I'm not going to go from edge to edge. I'm going to give myself some space on the sides. So let me move this because I'm all working sideways here. So what I want to do is I want about, yeah, I want about, what is that? Almost 3/4 of an inch on that side that is overlapped the edge. So I have my edge and then about 3/4 of an inch more poking out the side. Okay. So then I'm going to mark this on the edge of the paper. And then I have my 3/4 on this side and I have my panel on this side. Now I'm going to come over here. I'm going to mark the end of the paper. And then I'm going to mark again at about 3/4 of an inch. I don't do a lot of measuring when it comes to this stuff. I'm a big eyeballer, but that's right at about 3 1/4. So then I've got to figure out how tall I want it. So I'm going to say I want it probably about there. So I'm going to come down here and I'm going to mark right there, but I want this to have a lip at the bottom since I'm making this gusseted. So I've marked at the bottom where the paper matches it, but I'm going to probably do a little over 1/4 of an inch below that too. So I have 2, yeah, it's about 1/4 of an inch. I have 2 lines here. So in the end, what you should have is you should have one line here where the edge of the paper meets with 3/4 of an inch on this side, one line here on the edge of the paper with about 3/4 of an inch on the outside, and another little line. And then at the bottom, you should mark it at the end of the paper where you want this to sit on here, and then go about 1/4 of an inch lower and put another line there. Okay, I hope that wasn't too confusing. So now I'm going to get my cutting board back out, and I'm going to cut the 2 outermost marks. So up here, my outermost mark is this one right here. I don't want to cut these 2. These are gusset lines. I just want to cut this one. So I'm going to take it, and I'm going to cut on that pencil mark that is the farthest one out. It should mark the 3/4 of an inch that went off the page on the right side. So I'm going to cut that off and set my piece to the side. And then on the bottom, I'm going to cut the outermost line, which is this one right here, where I guess it looks like the innermost because it's the closest to the cutter, but from the pocket, if the pocket is the center, this is the outermost line. So you should have these 2 marks here, and you want the one on the right. And then I'm going to come down here, and I am going to make sure it's lined up. And I'm going to cut straight across and put this to the side, and I have to get a drink. Give me 1 second. Okay. So now I need to make my my gussets. So I'm going to do this bottom one first. And all you got to do is take that little pencil mark and line it up with one of these grooves, and then carry it across. That's it. You're done. Just one. I'm careful with how many. Now this, I know I can go through it a few times without it breaking, but I'm very careful as to how much I push down on this, because the papers will break and then it's a mess. So then I'm going to flip it over on its side. I'll go this way. No, I want to go this way. I'm going this way because since this is already scored, it's not super stable to lay flush with this. So I don't want it to move. So I'm doing it like that. So once again, I'm going to come down here and I'm going to line up this pencil mark with a groove, and I'm going to go up. Now, I've made that line, but I want this to be a gusseted pocket, not just a pocket. So I'm going to come over, I'm going to come over 3 notches. So I have the gusset here, or the groove here. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to make another line, and then I'm going to do it again. 1, 2, 3. All right, and that leaves me just enough to glue on the end. As far as measurements, those are roughly 1/4 of an inch wide. Now I'm going to do the same thing on this side. And I did flip it over because I tend to work off the right side all the time. So let me make sure that is flat and flush. And then I've got that with the gusset, so I'm going to put that down. And then I'm going to do the same thing. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. What? There's my gusset. 1, 2, 3. All right. So in the end, let me see if you can kind of see, yeah, you can see where all those lines are and how it should look. Okay. So I'm going to set this to the side, and I'm going to erase my pencil marks. Sometimes I forget to do this part. So if you ever get a folio for me or a journal and you see pencil marks, I apologize. I'm just forgetful sometimes. So now I want to cut the corners off because you don't want it buttoned up next to each other, and I'll explain more of that when we put it down. But so what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut, I'm going to stand up so you can see this better, I think. So I'm going to cut, where's that at? Whoop. Okay, so right here, you can see how this is the end of this gusset, or this line right here, and it butts up to this. I'm going to cut that at an angle and I'm going to cut right to its little corner. And then I'm going to turn my scissors and I'm just going to cut at an angle right off the side. So you kind of have a weird little half circle, if that makes any sense. But you can kind of see how I did that. Okay, and we're going to do the same thing on the other side. I'm going to cut here and then turn it. So then you have the two corners like that. Okay. Now we want to bend, we want to fold the gussets. So we're going to fold up, fold down on the next one. Actually, I'm doing this backwards. Sorry about that. Fold down, fold up, fold down. Because you want the gussets on the back of it, not the front of it. So you can see you've got a little Z-shape, accordion style gusset right there. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay. And then we're going to fold the bottom up. Now, what I'm going to do after I have it sewed is I'm going to glue these edges down onto this piece. So it'll look like this. And you'll have a nice, thick, gusseted pocket right here. And I will probably put a belly band across it. And I'm thinking, yeah, and then we'll figure out what we're doing with those. But I think we're going to do that in the next video because I'm getting pretty far into this one. And I'm getting about to lose my voice. So far, this is where we are at. Now when we come back, I'll have all this sewed and then we'll glue it all together. And I'll add the little extra pieces, the belly bands, the side tucks and stuff like that. And we'll start looking at the second panel. So I hope that this made sense. Please, please, please leave me a comment. Let me know. Give me constructive criticism. If this isn't what you were looking for, or if you were hoping to see something different, I can maybe implement that in this tutorial of a folio. Just, it's what you guys want. Just let me know, and that's what I'm going to do. So, because I think I might end up putting like a little window. I don't know. I got to think about it. That's part of the whole folio process, is you just sit and stare at it for a while until you figure out what you're going to do. So, all right. Well, I hope everybody has a great rest of their week, and I will see you very soon. Thanks. Bye.